Welcome into the Maryville Saints post-game show, brought to you by Wausau Homes. Todd Panula alongside Will Starwalt. Will, obviously not the result that Maryville was hoping for. They were going up against a very tough opponent in the Midland Warriors. Midland coming in 9-7-2, improving to 10-7-2. One of the top teams in the country, third overall. So it was always going to be tough sledding, but you'd like to see the scoreline a little closer than 7-1, which was the final.
Yeah, it was a lot. It seemed to, in that first period, Maryville looked a little lost out there. Second period, they were kind of able to bring it back, besides giving up those goals. And then the third period, I think the fatigue and, being a line short from most programs kind of got to them there. Definitely
the case. Midland got the scoring going in that first period with the lone goal, 1-0 score after one. And it felt like Maryville was really kind of just trying to hold on for that first 20 minutes. And as you mentioned, they kind of built upon some stuff in the second period, but they allowed those 3 goals even though they played better. And then the third period, it just kind of came off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, and that's, I think, where the fatigue sets in once again. But like we talked about in the game itself, they are a lot of freshmen, and there's a lot to build on here. We see a lot of bright spots, just something's missing. We don't know quite what, but as this program moves on, I think we're going to see a lot of seasons where they only lose a couple of games because they built such a good foundation so early on. Yeah, you're going to take some bumps and bruises, maybe not win a lot, maybe not win at all, but you can see where the foundation is starting to be built for a great program.
And it wasn't necessarily the case tonight, but trying to accentuate the positives, we've seen this Maryville team hang in with some of the big boys, big girls, I guess you would say, in that respect. But they've played tight games with Lindenwood. They're number one in the country right now. They've played tight with this very Midland team when they were on the road. Obviously a disappointing result here this evening. But they've seen flashes, and you're going to have that when you have a younger team trying to find their feet, trying to find their way, especially when they're shorthanded. We mentioned that several times throughout the broadcast. But there's stuff that's there. You see the pieces. They just seem to kind of lack that final finishing touch, that little extra pass, that little extra shot, the shot location. Because we saw it tonight. It was an excellent game for Olivia O'Brien. She missed one on the doorstep, but maybe a season down the road she gets that goal, and all of a sudden it's a different game because it's 1-1 at that point.
And one thing that's nice about this team is the goaltending has been there this whole season. I mean, you're letting in a lot of goals, but if you get a team in front of that, then it'll be very hard to stop.
And I think that's from the fan perspective and obviously from the broadcast perspective, it's eerily similar to what the men went through when they started out as Division II. Obviously, they moved up to Division I. But you had Aaron Romero come in as a senior. He did end up getting a second year when they were promoted. But we're seeing something similar here with Sawyer Duncan, to where she's an upperclassman trying to lead this team from the back. And they're going to have to try to find a way to kind of give her a little bit of support the same way that the team on the men's side did for Aaron Romero, because she's kind of basically helping this team build up using her experience to try to get them to that next step. You've got Emily Shaw, who's a freshman, so she's kind of learning the ropes as well. I'm sure they'll bring in some recruits in the offseason, but it's kind of trying to at least get something built towards next season so they can at least get a good senior season for Sawyer Duncan with the work that she's put in.
Yeah, and I think you said that perfectly. It's kind of like what the men went through. You're going to have growing pains, and I think that's what this team is kind of, they're going in not expecting to lose, but knowing, hey, we're a line down. We got a lot of freshmen. Let's work on our technique and build up from here.
And a lot of it boils down to coaching in terms of what's going on, as we've got some fans in behind the camera position. So always good that they're checking out the game here live. And but Tommy Lang has got a little bit of work in front of him, but not even just necessarily for the future, but just coming tomorrow, because you've got to find a way to push the reset button. These two teams are going to play each other again tomorrow afternoon. Puck drop at 2:30 right here at the Maryville University Hockey Center. And you have to kind of just let them refresh. Don't focus too much on this game, I think, and try to accentuate the positives.
Yeah, and I think, once again, you said it perfectly. You just kind of got to focus on the next game at hand and work on those going from game to game.
So we'll see what these two teams can do tomorrow afternoon. Once again, a disappointing finish in this one for the Saints as they fall by the final score of 7-1. But still a few bright spots here and there, just not enough to really kind of get any kind of foothold within this game. That'll wrap it up for our Wausau Homes post-game show, though. For Will Starwalt and for Tom Hartbeck and Eric Skelton making us look good behind the scenes, I'm Todd Panula. We thank you for watching, and we hope you'll tune in next time. This has been the Maryville Saints Hockey Network.